Go in with a plan and do your best to stick to it. And if you entirely fall off, if you snack on a few things, let it go. It's over with. Move on and do what you can to improve the next day and move forward in that manner.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. We're coming at you with a brand new show. We appreciate whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. So stick around. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
Thanks for being here with us and checking out the show today. Now, Thanksgiving is here. It's upon us. Canadian Thanksgiving is here. It's basically here in a couple of days by the time this show will air. And then U.S. Thanksgiving isn't far away. And regardless of whether you're in Canada or the U.S., I know we have listeners all over the world, everyone celebrates holidays at some time. Now, there's Christmas or, Thanksgiving or birthdays or whatever it is we have holidays and we do celebrate at times. And we need some tips. We need some help to work around holiday time because first of all, it's stressful with family and sometimes presents and food. So that's number one. And then second, the time. So there's time we have to organize these events and we still have our regular jobs. We still have children to take care of. So just because holidays are coming up or vacations, however you say it, doesn't mean that anything changes or anything else stops. So in this show, I want to give you some tips around the holiday time. And again, it doesn't matter when it is, we can all use a little help at times. Now, in the past, we've done a handful of other holiday nutrition tips, maybe fitness tips, stress tips. If you want more details, you can head over to exploringmindandbody.com. And in the search bar, you can look for holiday nutrition tips. But I thought it'd be nice to give you a little refresher. I know we have new listeners coming in all the time. I so much appreciate that. And again, for those that may have heard some of these tips before on past shows, it's always nice for a good little reminder with Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up, wherever you are listening to this show, there's usually a holiday coming up at some point in time. So why not go over some tips right now? The first tip I want to share with you is eat before you go. So important to have some food. And it's the same difference if you're having people coming over if you're having friends and family coming over to your place. If you're hosting, have some food, have a meal. I know there's a big old turkey basting in the oven. And regardless of what you're doing, if you're preparing or if you're going to friends and family, have a meal before you go. One of the worst things that you could do is starve yourself all day or for hours before your meal, and everyone gets all excited and there's so much food and there's snacks, and then we just overindulge and we feel horrible all day because we're stuffing our faces, and then we're stuffed, and then we have some moments of relief, and then we eat more food. So the next day is not going to be your friend. So pay attention to this. Have a meal before you go and understand that it's usually a long day. It's usually a long few hours of all kinds of different foods and treats and snacks. So have a meal before you go. At least if you have a healthy meal in the morning, you know you're setting your day up for success in some way. So don't have no food and then plan to overindulge because it's one day. One day turns into 2 days. We are creating healthy or unhealthy habits right now. So pay attention to that. The next thing is to bring something. And the next little tip here, it's important to bring something because we don't know there's usually different types of meals and there's different types of appetizers, whatever it may be, desserts, but bring something so you know you can have something that's going to be a healthier option. So bring a salad maybe, bring a healthier dessert so you're not feeling like you have to have something that's unhealthy. Maybe bring a dessert, bring a side dish, like a quinoa salad's fantastic, a big old... I was going to say bucket, a big old dish of roasted veggies so you can fill your plate full of veggies. And that's going to be important for you because many times we go to these types of dinners, or maybe we're hosting ourselves. Hopefully, if you're hosting yourselves, there's more than, one healthy dish. Hopefully, there's a few healthy dishes that we can enjoy. But if you're going to someone else's, we don't know what's going to be there. We have one of the favorites around this time is yams or sweet potatoes. Then you melt the marshmallows on top. Well, that's not a favorite of mine, but it kind of ruins the sweet potato experience for me because I don't think sweet potatoes and marshmallows should go together. But anyways, that's just my perspective. So what I'm saying here is that bring a healthy dish so there's something that you can eat there, and maybe even overindulge in that a bit so you're not have nothing in your belly when all the treats or unhealthy types of food come around. This goes back to my first tip, when we get into showing up at someone's place and starving and you can't wait to get something to eat, you can't wait to have food, and we're excited, we pour ourselves maybe an alcoholic beverage, whatever that may be. Then comes the deep fried appetizers, which are usually the unhealthiest options there. So if I could share one tip with you on this show, if you take one tip away, avoid unhealthy appetizers, or not unhealthy, but most of them are unhealthy, but avoid deep fried appetizers. There's so many different, there's usually veggies there somewhere that no one eats. Maybe there's some kind of fruit. If you can, avoid those dips because those are usually unhealthy. But by all means, if at all possible, stay away from deep fried appetizers. Those are going to be the worst thing there for you. And if you're hosting, then maybe you could not bring those out, even though people love them. I don't know. A little bonus tip here, this I didn't have written down, is alcohol. You don't have to have alcohol. I think sometimes I used to feel like this. I've changed now. It's been long enough where I don't feel like I have to have an alcoholic beverage. But when I used to go out to restaurants, I would feel cheap if I didn't order like some kind of soda or pop or I didn't order an iced tea, whatever it is. I just order water now. And I used to feel cheap, or I used to feel like the waitress or waiter was judging me. But I'm fine now. I sit down. I said, I'm going to have a water. Now, when you go to these different events, there's all kinds of things. There's like punch, there's juices and such. There's all types of alcoholic beverages. It's beer and hard alcohol, whatever it is. And I'm just saying that right now that you don't have to have alcohol. Just because everyone else is having it, sometimes we get excited. Sometimes we don't want to feel left out. I just went to a party at a friend's. It was their little kid's first birthday, and we didn't have alcohol. I didn't have a beer. I didn't feel like one. Sometimes I'll grab a beer. Sometimes we're out, and that's what I'll enjoy. This is me personally here, and I think most people feel like, we're supposed to have a drink. We have to have one. And all I'm saying is, enjoy a glass of wine if that's what you want. Enjoy a beer, whatever it may be. But you don't have to have 6 or 10 just because everyone else is drinking all day, or you don't have to have a water, have some juice, or whatever it is. You don't have to have that. Have a sparkling water maybe. That's just to give you a different idea that you don't have to have an alcoholic beverage if that's not your thing. And maybe if it is your thing this year, have a couple less, because again, we're creating unhealthy habits right now, and the next day isn't going to be fantastic, with having overindulging in the alcohol area. When we sit down to eat, usually there's more, you have more than one plate. Everyone passes around, at least at our family events, everyone passes around the dishes and you fill your plate up, or you can go buffet style, you go and fill your own plate. So what I'm going to suggest here is you fill your plate full of veggies first. Maybe put a big old salad, if there's salad there. You put a big salad on your plate and you eat that salad as a type of appetizer before you fill your plate with all the other treats and fixins and everything else that is usually unhealthy. So that's going to be the first tip. The next one is going to be the next time you fill your plate up, or the next time dishes come around, is fill your plate full of those roasted veggies, or maybe if you're going to have some turkey, fill your plate up with a bit more turkey. And then we get into the rolls. Then there's less room for those rolls. Like white rolls are usually kicking around somewhere. Bread in general isn't a fantastic nutritional source of food or nutrients. Then we have potatoes and gravy and those types of food. That really is what weighs us down. That's what is going to hurt us in that overindulging area. And the next tip here is going to be avoid the all-day marathon, as I talked about at the beginning. It's going to be difficult. It's so difficult to have those treats around all the time, to have desserts sitting out on the table. And, you're watching football and your team scores, you get excited, you get to crack yourself a beer, and you cut yourself a piece of cake. I mean, and that happens from 10 in the morning till 10 at night in many homes. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying if it's possible, avoid the all-day marathon, because you're going to have to try to avoid these temptations all day long. If you could go for a couple hours, if you go watch one game, if you could go for a brunch, wherever that may be, with family and friends, I mean, that would be more ideal than sitting there all day. And like I said, if it's going to be one meal, try to make it one meal in the day. Don't overindulge 3 meals a day or all day long. Say, if you're there at the beginning of the day and there's all kinds of treats or meals and appetizers coming out, do your best to avoid as much as possible. And then at the end of the day, you just plan. Say, I'm going to have a little bit more. I'm going to have my dessert at the end of the day or at lunchtime, whatever it is. And I'm going to skip the deep fried appetizers in the afternoon. Maybe I'll have a couple in the evening, whatever that looks like for you. Just try to make a better effort at making it one meal or one part of the day instead of all day long. And then my last tip here is plan a meal after. This is very important because this gives us an idea. I know we don't want to, we don't want it. We don't want to do it. We don't want to have a meal after. There's so much food there. There's family and friends. We want to sit around, enjoy company. But the best thing that you could do for your health in these situations is plan a meal after, because what happens is we have our meal and usually they put the food away, then they bring out the treats, they bring out cakes and chocolate and whatever else, and that's sitting around on the table. That's social. We're drinking, we're having cake or having dessert, and then you don't really have anything to go home for, and you don't want to be hungry once you get home either. So if you know you have a meal sitting there waiting, something that you're going to enjoy, maybe you'll go home a little early, maybe you'll have one less drink, maybe you'll have one less piece of pie and that will give you something to look forward to, and you're not going to be hungry once you get back. Maybe you have a nice little healthy snack that you'll look forward to in the evening that will help you leave a little bit early and avoid those temptations, because that's the most difficult time, is to leave early. I know that's hard. I know it's all the good stuff comes out in the evening. Who wants to leave early, or who wants to skip out on pie or cake? And I'm just saying that understand that you've worked hard. You put in effort all year long, and you're working out in the gym. Maybe you're working out at home. You're putting in that effort, reading ingredients and looking at nutrition labels. And I'm not saying that by all means go and enjoy yourself. Just don't take the whole day off, or don't let all your hard work and all your efforts, go for naught, because many times right now, this is a turning point, this day, because Thanksgiving is here, and then we have Christmas coming up, and there's so many unhealthy habits being developed. So we say, oh, I had pie yesterday. So let's say it was Monday, you had pie. And then you're like, oh, it's Tuesday. You're like, well, I had pie yesterday, so I'm kind of off my diet again, which I don't believe in, but I'm off it. I had pie yesterday, so let's have pie again today. And then the next Wednesday comes around, and you say, well, I missed my workout on Tuesday. I had a little bit extra pie. I'm not really going to go to the gym and burn some extra calories. And what you're doing is you're kind of breaking all your healthy habits that you've created, worked all year to create. And then you're saying, oh, and then Friday comes around, I got another Christmas party coming up, so I'm going to miss workouts. I'm not really going to eat well. And right now, at least we have 4 weeks coming up to Christmas. And maybe maybe you listen to this at a different time of year, but it could be a birthday, it could be Christmas, could be Thanksgiving, whatever it is, New Year's, of course, after that. And if you don't put in those efforts now, if you don't push through and work hard and stay disciplined, all these healthy habits you worked for all year, they're going to be difficult to hang on to. So after this, what happens is New Year's resolution comes along, and then everyone says, oh, I'm going to start again right now. I'm going to start on the first, or the first week, or the first Monday, whatever it is. Gyms are packed. Everyone's inspired. That lasts about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And then all that inspiration goes away, because those healthy habits that you've created, they're broken. You don't have those healthy habits anymore, so you have to start those all over again, and it's difficult to start brand new habits. That's why it's so important to hang on to the ones you have and keep pushing forward and get through those difficult times, like Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner or whatever that may be. Researchers at the USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging discovered that 51% of annual weight gain occurs during the holiday season. A National Institute of Health study also showed that holiday weight gain is usually not lost during the spring or summer months. So what does that mean? That means that during the holidays, we accumulate weight throughout the year that we don't lose. Now, I'm not going to talk about weight loss here. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that guy. There's too many people talking about weight loss. If you really want to listen to someone talk about weight loss in a more natural and holistic way, I highly recommend you check out Dr. Lori Shemek. She has a more just a better, I would say, a better lifestyle approach than your conventional lose weight quick kind of deal. But what I'm saying here with this fact, with this statistics, it's staggering because I think a good number of us go into the holidays thinking, oh, it's only the holidays. It only happens once a year. You know what I mean? And it doesn't happen once a year. Like I said before, we have Thanksgiving, then we have Christmas, or Halloween's a little before, depending when your Thanksgiving is. And then there's birthdays and long weekends. It never ends. And there's always an excuse why we can have an extra dessert or why we can entirely, if you want to say fall off the wagon or go the opposite way of living a healthy lifestyle, whatever it is, it could be, a dangerous landslide is the word I was looking for. It could be a dangerous landslide of excuses or mindset of, oh, I'll wait till that's over with, or I'll wait till and there's a better time. And to be honest with you, there is no better time. Right now is the only time. And we'll all come to a time in our lives when we realize that we're either living in the past or we're living in the future. And right now is the only time that matters. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever holiday or vacation or birthday it is, that's the only time that matters is now. So I highly suggest you go into your holiday weekend or holiday day, whatever it is, with a plan. And I'm not really a big planner myself, but I know what it's like to show up somewhere where there's a whole lot of temptations, not having a plan, and the whole weekend or week or month whatever it is that you're doing kind of goes the wrong way. And we're really hoping that it was going to go a positive way, but we didn't make a plan. We didn't set out with a plan. And that's what I want to get across. I want to get that across to you today because it's so important to plan ahead. Now, when I mean plan ahead, when our vacation or holiday or whatever it is coming up, we need to design a plan to know what's going to happen and be specific with it. So if you know you're going to host whatever dinner is happening, then know what you're going to, of course we know what we're going to prepare, but make sure you have healthy dishes to prepare. Now, I know it's really easy just to give in and let family decide what you're going to have, but we need to let family know that we're living a healthy lifestyle. I suppose that's the first thing. That's the first thing I always say when setting a goal, when starting a new journey to your health. We have to let family and friends know because we're not doing anyone any good by keeping it a secret. So whether you're going to a family member's place or you're hosting yourself, you have to let people know around you that you're working on living a healthy lifestyle. Because if you don't, it just makes things that much more difficult. Then we have everyone bringing an unhealthy dessert. Then we have everyone bringing all these dishes that we may not want. So I always suggest hosting yourself because you have a little more control. You know what you're going to prepare. You can ask someone to bring, maybe one unhealthy dessert or whatever it is. I'm not completely out of touch with reality. I understand that drinks will happen. I understand that desserts or hors d'oeuvres will happen, but you have a much better opportunity at success to set yourself up properly throughout the holiday season by hosting yourself. So you can plan your healthier hors d'oeuvres, or you can have different options. I always suggest not having it there, but if it's absolutely necessary, then you can have two options. So that's a big one, to prepare hors d'oeuvres properly. You have the main meal, and make sure you're preparing healthy meals. Give yourself a chance to have those options, because if you go to someone else's house, you don't have those options. So that's important to prepare healthy options as well. Now, if you're going to, look at desserts as well. Look at healthier desserts, of course. And so now if you're going to a family member's house or friends or whoever it is, it's important to eat before you go. So 9 times out of 10, we're going to go to a house where there's unhealthy appetizers. They're deep fried or they're finger food. And as much as you love them, and it's okay, try it, snack on it, but don't overindulge and make that your meal. Many times we make the appetizers our meal, then we wait for an hour and we have the actual meal. Then we wait for another hour, and then here comes the dessert table, the dessert trays, and we make that a meal as well. So give yourself the opportunity to have a little bit of success with this, and don't make each part of it a meal. So when you have a meal at home in the morning, you know that you're going to have a healthy meal. You know you're going to prepare properly and have food in your system before you get there. That way you're not starving. So that's exactly what a lot of us do. We know we're going to go have a big meal. We know that there's going to be different servings, and here comes the first meal, the second meal, and sometimes we eat, if it's Thanksgiving, we eat throughout the whole day. So make sure that you're eating before you go, so you're not starving, and as soon as the unhealthy appetizers come out, you make that a meal and eat as much as you can because you're starving. So the first thing is you're going to prepare a meal at home, and then feel free to snack on the appetizers, try this or that, but don't overindulge. You're going to have your meal at mealtime, at dinner time. Now I want to help you design your plate a little bit. So when you sit down and pile up your plate, I want you to put mostly veggies on your plate. Now I know that sounds a little too simple, but the thing is, it's both mental and emotional thing. When we think of Thanksgiving dinner, we want to have a big plate of food. We want to be stuffed. Sometimes we even prepare. We may have stretchy pants, or we may be prepared to eat, a little bit more or a whole lot more than usual. So when you're preparing your plate, you can go ahead and pile up the veggies. Now I know that doesn't sound all that enticing, but you're still going to get the opportunity to have turkey. If you eat turkey, you're going to have the opportunity to have gravy and mashed potatoes, but I want you to fill half your plate with veggies, whether that's a salad or some kind of different beans or broccoli or whatever they have. Have yourself some good fibrous greens on your plate so you can begin with that. The next thing if you're a meat kind of person, make a good portion of your plate meat, because meat is more easily able to burn off as opposed to carbs, which I want to get at. Usually we have a roll, we have a huge bowl, we have a huge plate of mashed potatoes, we put a little bit extra gravy on there. Is anyone's mouth watering right now? So what I want you to do is make the smallest portion on your plate carbohydrates, which would be your roll, it could be even I would highly recommend sweet potatoes. If at all possible, have more sweet potatoes or only sweet potatoes. Of course, I know Thanksgiving, many people look forward to whipped white potatoes. But what I'm saying is, if you have an idea of what you're going to do before you get there, if you drink a little bit of extra water, if you have some healthy meal before, you're not so inclined to fill your plate as much as possible. Eat all the carbs and gravy first because they look the best, and then whatever's left, if you have room in your stomach, then you snack on a couple pieces of carrots or whatever it is. So that's going to help you out if at all possible. I know we like to pick at different things, but if you can eat the veggies, eat half of your veggies first, and then head over to the meat section and then add some carbs in there, and then you have a nice combination, but you have food in your belly. A good tip is to eat slowly. Sometimes we get so excited that there's so much food around, we want to eat as much as we can as possible, and then we can't move for the next 2 hours. Well, at least until dessert comes out. So what I want you to do is eat slowly. Chew your food, enjoy your food, talk with your neighbor, your family member that we see once a year. And enjoy the meal instead of eating it as fast as you possibly can. And then, of course, we run into digestive issues during that time. Try to stay away from soda or pop at this time, especially when you're eating all kinds of different foods. This is especially, it's so much sugar that we're putting in our body. If it's Coke, for example, you want to put, at least at mealtime, try to put water in your body. Now, wash your food down with water. Now, I know we're inclined to maybe have an alcoholic beverage, maybe it's milk, whatever it is. Try to have that early on or even after your meal. Just do your best to avoid those kind of drinks while you're eating. So you don't want to wash down your turkey breast with some Coke. It's going to cause all kinds of digestive issues. You're going to have maybe some gas and bloating, indigestion. And if you're used to that, that's not normal. So those are some quick tips I wanted to share with you. The other thing is make sure you prepare a meal at the end of Thanksgiving dinner or birthday or whatever it is. So that means if you're going to someone's house, you know there's a meal set and planned for you afterwards. Now, I know this is very difficult. So we think that, I get a day off of cooking, or I'll take back some leftovers, or whatever it is. But I want you to have a meal. It could be a smoothie. It could be a snack meal. Have it prepared. Have it set out so that's in the back of your mind. What happens is we eat as much as we possibly can, maybe at noon or maybe at 5 o'clock, maybe at 8 o'clock in the evening, whatever it is. And then we continue to snack on food knowing that we have nothing to go home to and we need to eat so we don't get hungry when we go home. So have a meal planned. And then the last little tip is see if you can go home early. And I suppose this would be a little bit easier if you don't exactly love your company. But I want you to go home a little bit early. So what happens is we hang around and after dinner, here comes the dessert, here comes all the sugar and sweets, and that stays on the table. Very rare have I seen vegetables brought out after dinner or late into the evening. So the longer we hang out, the longer we stick around, the more temptation. So there's all kinds of treats on the table sitting there as we're talking. We know we can easily keep going through wine and beer and keep throwing drinks back. Those are just liquid calories that are going to add up to something that's not going to make us feel very good the next day. So if you can, by all means, do what you can to get home early and get that meal and move away from an environment where there's so much temptation around. I want you to enjoy yourself. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy whatever gathering you have, whether it's your birthday or a grandparents. Have a good time and try not to be so concerned about what's going on. The worst thing that we could do is inflict guilt on ourselves. And it happens all the time. We put so much guilt. The guilt is actually worse than the action of overeating or overindulging or completely falling off our plan. Try to be easy on yourself and let that go. That's in the past. Move on the next day. And, that's going to help you, have a better preparation or have a better mindset around what's going on. Now, don't go in the mindset of, I'm going to eat whatever I want and not feel bad about it. You're not going to feel great. Your body's not going to feel great. Your mind is. We all know what it feels like to fall asleep after turkey, or, we all have the sugar hangover before. I had it myself. I'm not used to sugar, but if I get put in an environment, in a situation like that, I have a sweet tooth. I'll overindulge. I'm not afraid to admit that. But what I'm saying is go in with a plan and do your best to stick to it. And if you entirely fall off, if you snack on a few things, let it go. It's over with. Move on and do what you can to improve the next day and move forward in that manner. So I hope these tips help you out. I hope they give you a little bit of an idea to go in with a plan and know what you're doing. And, all the little things add up. One thing may not seem like much. So if you say, I still want to have my beer wine with your dinner, everything's going to add up. So, those decisions, of course, are up to you. These are only suggestions that are going to help you out, help you live a healthier lifestyle and move forward that way and not feel like you weigh a whole lot more the next couple of days after, or that guilt that's fallen in or that's set in. And that's it. That's all I got. I'm done with that. So I hope you got something out of that. I'm going to wrap the show up here. So just real quick to wrap up, eat before you go, bring something healthy, avoid deep fried appetizers, fill your plate with veggies first, avoid the all-day marathon if possible, and if not, try to maybe overindulge in just one meal instead of all day long or 3 meals. And then plan a meal after. That's going to be a big one. And then I added a little bonus one in there, that alcoholic. I don't want you to feel like you have to drink just because everyone else is, or you have to crack a beer every time Uncle John cracks one.
True Form Life.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. You can always find us on Facebook.com/TrueFormLife. We post up there a couple times a day on our story. We're always trying to bring you more content around living a healthy lifestyle, whether that be nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. We also have free challenges that we do at least once a month. So if you follow us along there, you'll be able to join maybe a plank challenge or a squat challenge, Tabata challenge, challenge, whatever it may be. We'd love to have you join us. We're also on Instagram.com/DrewTadia. Again, we're posting up there a couple times a day along with our story, all dedicated to keeping you fit and healthy and on track. Our main website is trueformlife.com. If you want to check out some of our products, some of our services, or if you just want some great content from videos to blog posts and recipes and more, we got all that at trueformlife.com. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.